Hey, who is here? What's going on? Support Champagne Sharks at patreon.com/champagne sharks. Hey, full time Champagne Shark Simp. I like that name. 2008 B. Scott, what's up? So I'm drinking. Hey, Mr. Slaw. Is it Mr. Slaw or Mr. Slaw, like coleslaw? Is it Mr.'s possessive law or Mr. Slaw, like Mr. Coleslaw? Um, I got this thing. It's called Athletic Brewing Company Upside Down Golden, and it's non-alcoholic beer, but it's actually pretty good. Oh, Mr. Slaw, cool. Hey, John O'Milo, guest of the prior guest of the show. How you doing? Yeah, it's not bad. It was on sale, so I said let me give it a try, and it tastes pretty good. Like I've been trying to drink less, and it's been good. I haven't been drinking, but I like the taste of beer and I miss it sometimes. But yeah, this brand makes some pretty good stuff. I'm gonna go back for more of their stuff. Athletic Brewing Company. I'm not getting paid. Only 12 grams of carbs too. It's not bad. No, it's not about being a hipster. It's I've been going back to the gym, so I've been getting like strict on my carbs and my um empty calories. Yeah. How's everybody doing? We're gonna talk about Joe Biden really quick, but there's not much to talk about. We have a I got a number to do like a call-in show, but I don't know how to set it up. I gotta set it up. But in the meantime, on the call-in app, everyone who has iOS, any Apple product, because it's only on Apple right now. Oh, wait a second. I think. Hold on one second. Yes, is it? This is my new camera. How does it look? I feel like I look extra pale in this camera. I don't know. So I got this fancy new camera, and it just makes me look, I don't know, kind of washed out. I think I can change the settings so I don't look like so pale, but whatever. I'm gonna play something of Biden real quick. Just Biden being Biden. It's kind of funny. Do y'all see what he said about the blacks? Where I mean, somebody tweeted this, and it's so true. Like all these black liberals were going bending over backwards trying to act like they love Biden. Uncle Joe, Uncle Jim Crow Joe. It was that's the funniest thing. And then when he said something slick about black kids, still made excuses for him. Let me just find the tweet because it's a pretty funny tweet. Waiting for Vita to show up. I think she's going to be showing up soon. Yeah. But how's everyone doing? While I'm waiting for people to show up, go to patreon.com/champagne sharks for less than less than the price of a cup of coffee. Actually, these days, a cup of coffee a week, depending on what kind of coffee you get, less than a cup. of coffee a month, you can become a subscriber to Champagne Sharks. You get those fancy Frappuccino Grande type joints, then yeah, it's less than the price of one cup of coffee a month. You get access to all our back episodes, our back catalog is very good. You get access to a lot of cool stuff. And you also get access to the voice and chat Discord where you can chop it up with other Champagne Sharks fans. So definitely check that out. Let's see. I'm gonna try to find that thing that Biden said. It was really funny. But yeah, oh my God, the black man trash stuff is just out of control, and I don't even want to talk about it too much because I've been talking about it different places. Again, going to call in app. Also, we have exclusive content over at Rumble, which is basically the same stuff we talk about on the call in app. So for people who don't have iPhones or iPads, we simulcast the streams over at Rumble. So Rumble is over at here. So we have some good stuff over there. We had one about black men in refrigerators. You have to watch it to see it. We also had one about uh, do woke shows necessarily have to be bad? Like, and we try to challenge ourselves to come up with good woke shows. We have Brianna Joy Gray, former press secretary to Bernie Sanders and current host of Bad Faith podcast. We had Chris from Escape from Plan A. We had Q from Resistance Noir, and a whole bunch of callers. It was pretty good. It was a literal call-in show. We had a lot of people calling in on the quest to find the elusive, good, so-called woke show. And yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, from what I understand, the way Q describes it, Rumble. I mean, Android is harder to program for, so that's why a lot of places make their Apple program first, and then the Android one later, because Android is harder to program for. So, to accommodate the Android people, we simulcast on Rumble. But if you have Apple, you can watch a rewatch on Callin as well. Just go to the Callin app, Callin, and search out Champagne Sharks, and we're there. Yeah, I mean, there's not an official name for it. We pretty much gave um some of the call that went on forever. I think I know the one that you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, you know what's kind of funny, man? I saw this in Clubhouse, but it's real life too. And whenever a black person says that, they're getting off a call, that means they're gonna spend 15 more minutes on the call. Like the more a black person says that they're getting off a call, you know that call's gonna keep going on and on. I'm gonna say very few folks called in. I think how many we have? About like 6, 7. But we were talking a lot, so I think a lot of people didn't want to interrupt, and then we had to stop and leave some in the queue. But let me see if I can find this tweet. When Vita shows up, oh, I want to ask you about this guy, man. This guy is everywhere, and let me ask you guys: is this guy's problem that he can't dance, or that he's too big? This is the controversy with this guy. Tell me what you think, because he's everywhere lately, and he's got some kind of moves, but they're not working. Have y'all seen this guy?
I see you, girl. She coming down from the city. Yeah, she know what she doing.
Wait, I'm gonna have to talk over
Yeah,
this
you know.
because if I don't, you know how YouTube is. They give me a copyright strike for any and everything. So I'm gonna talk throughout this thing in hopes of disguising the music. But okay, first it's a little bit coony. I don't know, like eat the chicken first. I don't know why I said eat the chicken first and then the dance. But yeah, yeah. Tell me what y'all think. Can this guy dance or not?
Damn.
His pants are definitely too tight. And he be dancing everywhere, like and making scenes in the gym. And there's always people in the back like, what the hell's wrong with this dude? And I mean, he's got some kind of. He's definitely corny. I'll definitely say that. First off, he's too big. He's definitely corny. He's doing too much. But can he dance? What do you guys say? I mean, because he's so big, things a half a person. Yeah, I think it's definitely his size is a big part of it, and the tightness of his clothes. But the faces he makes are just way too much. He's got a lot of Ika's Vita. I'll let her add her stuff when she's ready. But he's he's definitely got no he's your homeboy.
He's clearly in LA and he clearly needs to get kicked the fuck out. Where the fuck is he from?
Now, I was trying to say, does he have any talent and it's mostly his corny energy and the body size, or is he a bad dancer?
He's a
Is that-
terrible dancer. He cannot dance.
so you think he can't dance? You don't think any of these moves require any talent?
Those are two different questions.
Okay,
Just
you're
because,
right. You're right.
because clearly he's able to pop and lock a little bit,
Yeah.
but he's not a good dancer. Like looking at it all, the thing about being a good dancer, it has to all look good together.
And the
It
moves have
does
to
not
flow
look
into each
good
other.
together.
Yeah.
Right. So nah, he can't. He's saying nah, he can dance. Somebody said he can dance. Look, nah, he can dance. It was if it was a skinny
sorry.
dude.
Both of us clicking at the same time. I put yours back up.
If he was
I put
skinny,
yours back up.
dude, it wouldn't be blog worthy. No, I agree that if he was skinny, it wouldn't be blog worthy. But that has nothing to do with the fact that he can't dance. He just can't dance. He's not a good dancer. He looks goofy, and I think part of the
Yeah.
corny energy.
Yeah. He has theater kid energy. It was what I was gonna say. He feels like the faces he's making and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then there's the type of moves he's doing. All of it's just hella corny, and it's not that well done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like if somebody saying full time champagne sharks, he's definitely from LA. How would you know? Who's that? I want to know who this is. I want to know how you know.
Maybe he means
I
that
don't
he
know if he's
lives
from LA. If he's from LA, he's definitely not from South Central. That's a fact. As far as I'm concerned, if you're not from South Central, then that shit don't count.
Did he's in Hollywood or something?
He could be a Valley nigga. We call them off-brand ass Valley niggas for sure. But he definitely ain't no South Central.
Yeah,
Who
man.
said
But
that's cap? Thomas B, why is that cap? I don't know what that means. I mean, I don't know what you're referring to.
And then, like, some of his moves are just kind of feminine too, which thing doesn't work. Like I don't know what this is about.
He's from Silver Lake. Yeah, Silver Lake ain't South Central. That shit don't count. That shit do not count.
Now, is you saying this is fact, or are you saying this is speculation? Silver Lake.
I don't know. That's.
I was trying to find that tweet. Maybe you could find it. I was looking on your timeline, and that's how I came across this guy. I got distracted, but you had a tweet about what was it? No, it wasn't your tweet, but I think you retweeted it, where someone said, "I remember when Joe Biden said about the black kids being dumb, and y'all said you see his heart." Oh yeah, I just found it. As soon as I said it, I found it. Let me put it in the screen.
So let me clarify something else. I see that people are saying he's done this at In and Out, so he's clearly on the West Coast. Being on the West Coast, being in LA is
And being from
nothing
LA is
like
two
being
different.
from LA. And you guys forget this, much like New York, we're a transplant city. So people move to LA, don't be from LA. And as far as I'm concerned, if you move to LA and you're not from LA and you doing all this shit, you probably don't be kicking it where I'm at. That don't count to me. Hollywood niggas don't count to me.
Check out what I got. Look at this bad boy. This thing is insane. Peep this.
What is that?
This is a massage gun.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
But this thing is like a jackhammer. This thing is like
Is
it'll
it
turn
good?
your I mean it's good, but like my body be all bruised and stuff. Like the lowest setting is basically pulverized. It's the craziest.
Wow.
It was on sale and it said professional grade and it was $50. And I was like, oh,
Whoa.
$50.
That's
How
pretty
good can
cheap.
it be? But yeah, it's kind of cheap. But let me try it. Let me take a risk.
You have
And let me
different
tell you,
attachments? Like, do you have the attachment to? Yeah,
mhm,
because I
it's got
know
different.
I have something similar, but I got a cheap one that's for real cheap, not on sale, from Marshalls, which is like TJ Maxx, and
Yeah.
so but I mean it did what I needed it to do because I get knots in my back and it's already bad enough because I have sciatica, so I'm in pain 24/7. You know what's
Dude,
funny? Low key, Gap Year King. I thought it was a vibrator. That's why
I'm
I
gonna
was
tell you
like,
right now, the woman who can handle that vibrator, I mean, her vagina is going to be destroyed. She needs to get her
yo,
vagina on Guinness Book of World Records and have people shoot arrows at it or bullets because any vagina that can take this thing is
yeah,
gonna.
that's wild. No, but when I first saw you pull it, I didn't know. You know, your brain has to like put it all together. My brain hadn't put it all together yet. But yeah,
Yeah.
so your so the Biden tweet.
Mm-hmm. The Biden tweet. No more low key vibrators. This is the Biden tweet. It said, when Joe Biden said poor kids are just as smart as white kids, y'all said you knew his heart. And that just made me laugh because a lot of people were showing their asses over Joe Biden. And what I don't understand, and we always talk about this, why do black liberals have to go so overboard? Why can't they just be like, hey, Trump sucks, and I have some family members who are trying to cross the border, and I just want Biden, and they always have to act like whatever liberal they're caping for is like their mom, their dad, their uncle, their grandpa. They're
Right.
invited to the cookout.
Why are they always, and I don't understand this as a black person in particular.
Yeah.
Why do you want the Democrats to be above reproach? Because the thing is, they claim that we have to hold them accountable. We have to hold them accountable. But whenever we even so much as criticize their favorite candidates or their favorite politicians, then all of a sudden we're problem makers. We're discouraging people to vote and all because people are too stupid to really understand that you can criticize the Democratic Party or anything that's considered to be liberal just because it's a part of your it's that groupthink shit, it's the groupthink shit, like, and everybody is in on it.
I mean, it's something with Betty White. Like I just said, like something with certain white people. People just go too crazy for it. Like, what can you say? I like Betty White. I'm sad she's dead. I got lot of great laughs off of her, but they have to act like, um, you know, John Brown died.
Yeah. Something wrong with your mic?
Look, I think there was. It seems back to normal, right? I don't know what just happened. Is it
Yeah.
sound normal again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have too much stuff open. I'm like have all this stuff I want to talk about, and I'm just Oh, something else that want to talk about, but I mean not very long, just short. What's up with all these pro black people? We were talking about this, being very performative about not getting the vaccine. And believe it or not, I respect people's right to not get the vaccine. I'm not one of those people
Oh,
that's like goes
I
crazy, but
definitely, yeah. I hope we don't get pulled off of YouTube, but I definitely think that shit has gone way out of hand with the vaccine. As far as, you know, trying to make it seem as though people who are not getting the vaccine, that they're somehow insane, and, you know, and we having all these stupid laws that say you can't go places if you haven't been vaccinated, because initially they made us feel like you couldn't spread it if you had the vaccine, if you remember. And then
yep.
recently the CDC director said, and I noticed this got pulled real quick, almost scrubbed off the internet, because I know I saw the video and I wish I had downloaded it. But they scrubbed that shit quick. The CDC director said with her own mouth that you are not protected. You can still spread it even if you have the vaccine. It does not prevent transmission. It doesn't. This is what she said. But, you know, we have all these rules and laws that don't make sense. Because the whole idea of
I'm
making it mandated is that, well, the whole idea of getting it mandated is supposedly to protect those who are immunocompromised. But if you
yeah.
can transmit it anyway, they're at risk anyway.
Yeah, exactly. The immunocompromised, like the people who show up and like basically they made it seem like they're making you do it to protect other people, but now they pretty much said, hey, you the vaccine person are have protection from getting the jab, but you can still spread it to other people. So the idea that you know you're a danger to other people if you have the vaccine is something that it's kind of gone under the radar as far as people just stop talking about it.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, but as
I
far as the
found
other
the
people who
item.
just want to constantly show off that they didn't take the vaccine, like I'm one of those people. What I do or don't do is really none of your business. As far as my,
I
you
agree.
know, what decision I make on that. Um,
Or if it comes up organically, fine. But I'm telling people, these people, like I don't know, there's a corner of pro-black Twitter just says, "Hey man, got that vaccine? Couldn't be mean to keep posting pictures of people who got the vaccine and died. Yeah, man, good luck with that jab." I was like, "Oh my god, just shut up,
but
man!" Like,
so this is what ISON Info is saying. The vaccine is about decreasing the likelihood of spreading, getting sick, going to the hospital. Do we really need to review this? Yes. First of all, I really don't like. This isn't a shot at you, ISON Info. I know you're a dope person, but in general, I don't like that very snide, condescending tone when it comes to explaining the vaccine, because there has been misinformation and there have been contradictions. We cannot deny that. To go from telling us that it's not that you can't transmit it, and mind you, I actually heard early on from another doctor who said it doesn't prevent transmission, who testified um, to Congress explaining that it can still be transmitted. And I saw that a long time ago. So when I saw the CDC director say it, it was like, okay, so then it doesn't make sense. I'm not anti the vaccine. I'm also not pushing people to get it. But I do feel like there has been misinformation. There has been confusing information. Does it decrease the likelihood of you getting sick? Possibly. I know people who said I know people who got it, even though they had the vaccine, but their symptoms weren't very rough. So
yeah,
maybe it
yeah.
does work for that.
They say the symptoms. Then I know people who have gotten the vaccine and symptoms were still rough. Like I know Jason Ingram had a breakthrough case, but I mean, there's exceptions to everything. But I mean, I believe that it gets you less severe symptoms.
Yeah. And
if you
that
have
could
it, sure.
absolutely, and I think that's likely to be the case. But at the same time, I don't like this idea that everybody's acting like they're the expert when you know just as much as we do. You're not an expert. Especially if you're just repeating the shit that they're telling you, and they're changing what they say. I don't like the way that we treat people who are questioning the vaccine or against the vaccine. I don't like it. I think it's very condescending. I think it sucks that people have to feel like this has to be some sort of civil war about the shit. I don't like that.
No, it is a culture war. Like everything has to break down to like a culture war thing, and it's
Right.
I mean, on both sides, the people who are just who make even the vaccine their
Exactly.
whole personality, and the people who make like loving the vaccine like the whole personality. Like both sides are.
Yeah, I don't like when they spread stupid shit. That's another thing I don't like. People who are anti-vaxxers, they spread the fake shit when there's enough real shit that can fuel your argument. I don't understand that. Let me see. People attach on the information that reinforces what they already want to believe, and there is enough info out there to choose from. Yeah, to choose from, because there's so much contradicting information from different doctors and different experts, in addition to the CDC changing multiple times. So, I mean, I just think we should be clear that it is confusing information. I don't like the idea that we're telling people, like we're being, especially to Black people, we're very condescending to Black people who don't trust this shit. And I'm honestly, at this point, I don't trust a lot of shit these governments telling us about any of this shit. I don't trust shit. They ain't made the hard decisions I thought were necessary. The only thing I thought was good that they did was tell us to wear masks, because it did seem to reduce most of us from getting sick most of the time. Because I think they said the flu, even regular flu, had went down for a little bit because we were actually being cleaner. I think people went back to being nasty though. So.
Oh yeah. When people are starting to slip up already. I mean, I've been going to the gym and I've been like super paranoid and wiping everything down every chance I get. And I've been like exercising with the mask on, and I can't breathe because the air is keep coming back into your nose. I've been going, so be it.
Yeah.
But some people I see go to the gym and they have no mask on. I'm like, wow, you're really confident. Like I've seen people do the whole workout with no
Nah, my
mask.
job gave us them N95 masks. I don't go nowhere without it now. We get 3 a week.
Yeah, I wonder if the people who aren't having the mask on, they like had COVID already, so they're in that immune phase. Or like, fuck it, I'm just gonna walk around. I don't know, but I was trying to
People
think
get it more than once. You can get it more than once though.
Oh yeah, like after a certain time, you're not immune anymore. I forget how long it is, but anyway, here is the clip. Our boy Biden, getting it in, and this is what the lady made the quote about. Y'all said that you see Biden's heart, and people are kind of laughing. But it's funny, those liberals who praise Biden, whatever, they don't show their ass afterwards. They don't say, "Man, I was wrong," or "I feel stupid." They just act like nothing happened. Like, God bless them. They will never ever admit that they were wrong about anything.
You're right.
Your domestic agenda. You've gotten a lot of questions about voting rights, Mr. President, but I want to ask you about Black voters, one of your most loyal constituencies. Yep. I was in Congressman Clyburn's district yesterday in South Carolina. You opened this news conference talking about him. I spoke to a number of Black voters who fought to get you elected, and now they feel as though you are not fighting hard enough for them and their priorities. And they told me they see this push on voting rights more as a last-minute PR push than it is a legitimate effort to get legislation passed. So what do you say to these Black voters who say that you do not have their backs as you promised on the campaign trail?
I've had their back. I've had their back my entire career. I've never not had their back. And I started on the voting rights issues long ago. This got me involved in politics in the first place. And I think part of the problem is, look, there's significant disagreement in every community on whether or not the timing of assertions made by people has been in the most timely way. So I'm sure that there are those who are saying that why didn't Biden push John Lewis' bill as hard as he pushed the last month? Why didn't he push it 6 months ago as hard as he did now? The fact is that there's a timing that is not of one's own choice. It's somewhat dictated by events that are happening in country and around the world as to what the focus is. But part of the problem is, as well, I have not been out in the community nearly enough. I've been here an awful lot. I find myself in a situation where I don't get a chance to look people in the eye because of both COVID and things that are happening in Washington. To be able to go out and do the things that I've always been able to do pretty well. Connect with people, let them take a measure of my sincerity, let them take a measure of who I am. For example, I mean, as I pointed out in South Carolina, last time when I was chairman of the district committee, I got the Voting Rights Act extended for 25 years, and I got strong affirmative votes for it. That's what I've been doing my whole career. And so the idea that I didn't either anticipate or because I didn't speak to it as fervently as they want me to earlier. In the meantime, I was spending a lot of time, spent hours and hours and hours talking with my colleagues on the Democratic side, trying to get them to agree that if in fact this occurred, if this push continued, that they would be there for John Lewis. Anyway, so, but I think that's a problem.
I don't even know what he's saying, really.
I'm not communicating
He's
as
babbling.
much as I should have. Yet,
I mean, what have you gotten so far? I haven't communicated. I haven't made myself out available. COVID. Like, I don't know what anything has to do with why he's not getting stuff done. The
I mean,
people
that's
know
what
my
he's
heart.
saying. He's saying he hasn't had time because all those other things have been going on. But what I find to be interesting is he doesn't answer it with, like, he admits that he hasn't done shit. It makes excuses for why he hasn't done shit. But nowhere did he say, this is what I'm planning to do. You're right. I haven't been able to do enough. But this is what I'm trying to do moving forward. We're going to get this done and that done. We're trying to fix the housing thing, the job thing, whatever it is. Like, he didn't do any of that. He just gave us a long thing of excuses and tried to say he'd been fucking with niggas his whole career.
Which is not even true, that Jim Crow Joe stuff, but that's a whole different story.
Yo, Biden is the biggest fucking liar, and it makes me sick how black
He's
people...
the biggest liar, and the media is the biggest enablers. Like, if that was Trump, and I don't like Trump, but if that was Trump saying something like that, they would have all been rushing to say, Mr. President, what about when he did this with the casinos and we didn't hire this and that? But Mr. Racial Jungle,
they wouldn't have wasted time.
That's them.
I want to know who that reporter was, because I just commend her for even asking the fucking questions.
Yeah, I agree. She seemed black, and
she seemed black.
Yeah, I mean, the face was covered up, so I couldn't tell fully, but yeah, I mean,
she sounded like a black lady.
Yeah, she did. But yeah, he lies all the time.
Yeah. But I felt like, I'm at least glad she put it out there and he had to answer it. But I'm just like, at the very
And now with his dementia, it's even easier for him to lie, because he can convince himself it's true. He just forgets the shit. Yeah.
Exactly. So I just kind of felt like, as I was watching it, I just kept saying, so what's the fucking plan? Like, what are you, like, you're not even bullshitting. The thing that's so sick, these motherfuckers will defend him and he's not even bullshitting well.
Yeah.
He's not even bullshitting well enough to, at least the Asians got a fake stop Asian hate bill. I mean, I don't think it did anything.
Yeah, that was a big nothing burger, but at least we didn't even get the nothing burger. We just got an air.
Right, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, they at least had like you said, a nothing, but at least he said something. We haven't even gotten that much, and they're still caping for him. They can't even be like, well, we got the black safety bill. They can't even say that, because then we could argue that the bill ain't doing shit. But we can't even have that argument because we don't even have that.
Oh my god.
But they're caping. They're like swooping in every second you criticize the Democrats. Then they start telling you, well, if you don't vote, you're part of the problem. Which I never understood that statement either.
Yeah,
exactly. Because it doesn't make any sense.
And it's like, if you don't vote, you're part of the problem. I mean, that's such a annoying. Oh, you know what? Let's not even go there. Actually, let me do a quick housekeeping. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you're in the room. And you can share right now. Just let people know on your social medias that we're up in here. PayPal is champagnesharks@gmail.com. Venmo and Cash App is just Champagne Sharks. Support the show at patreon.com/Champagne Sharks. or just hit the super chat if you're enjoying the stream. But either way, all the information is scrolling at the bottom. And yeah, it's basically that. But it's been cool.
Um,
I want to ask you this, right? Like we've litigated all the stupid things that black man haters say a million times, and the fault with the arguments. I mean, there's been like some new ones. This lady Yisha Callahan from who works at BET, who used to be the editor of The Root for like years, was laughing at this video about black men dying, and this other lady, Brittany Danielle, like Brittany Danielle, Aisha, Aisha Callahan, and Jamila Lemieux in Vanity Fair just writing an article basically comparing black men to the Nazis. And let's not even get into the substance of the arguments because so many people debunk them. What I want to ask you is, why have they gone full mask off, and why now? Like, there just seems to be this kind of thing where they just don't give a fuck anymore. Like, they just, I mean, that is a traitorous article, what was done in Vanity Fair. And I'm like, this woman just does not care about her legacy anymore. If she's just gonna have her name attached to this thing, like, I kind of want to get an idea of what's going on in their heads and
yeah, I
why
don't
they're
think
attaching their
they.
name to this bullshit.
So I don't really know but I feel like it's gonna come out soon. Like what the specific thing is, I feel like that's gonna come out sooner or later. I think enough black people are gonna get sick of it because I don't think enough black people are on board with it. I think social media is tricky, you know. Um,
But even on social media, it's not like it used to be.
right.
When they used to act out like that, there'd be all these like crazy
I
people
remember
supporting them, and you'd be like, "Where do you find all these
big
people?"
and
But
people that were pretty big. You know, you're absolutely right.
yeah,
I
and now it's
remember
not
that.
it's not like that anymore. It's mostly people bashing them now. Like
Yeah,
so it's weird. Yeah.
I I don't know what's really I don't know what the goal is with that, and I don't know what's really driving it. I mean, outside of what we do know is driving it, which is basic white supremacist bullshit.
I think they're getting
But
I think they're mentally unraveling though because
but
they're not even good agents. They're not even good sellouts. They're worse than Candace Owen now.
I think they're see the thing about the internet is these trends come and they go, right? And these certain fad eras come and they go. Especially on Twitter. And I think a lot of us are those of us who are using Twitter are older. The younger generation, I think they're even off of Instagram. They're on TikTok now,
You're on
right?
TikTok, yeah.
And this is what happens. The generations change. We
But
alter
this
like
bullshit's on TikTok hard too.
what'd you say?
But this bullshit's on TikTok hard
Oh,
as well.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is the Twitter space is changing because we're all getting older. We were there for the beginning of Twitter. The kids now don't Twitter was there when they were born. You know what I mean?
yeah, scary
Um
thought. You're right.
with the audience has changed. We've grown. That shit was a lot of that shit was new back in the day. So it was like, wow, I never heard this shit before. They were pulling up all this, racist shit. The shit that was getting buried in the 60s and 70s because niggas was on some other shit in the 60s and 70s. It was burning shit down, literally, you know? So I think now they're trying to capture that era, that they pulled from, they unearthed all these black feminists, right? Then after they unearthed them, started quoting them and writing all these articles. And then for me, it was even new. I thought I was a feminist at one point. You know what I mean? A black feminist in particular. But what I thought black feminism was and what it turned out to be, I think like a lot of black women who are like me are like, yo, this is on some other shit. I was riding with y'all when we were talking about reproductive rights and maternal deaths and things like that. And, the fact that we're dying in hospitals more than any other group. Yeah, I was with you. We work more hours than other groups, and yet we get paid the least. These are things I thought we were focusing on when we were talking about black feminism. Then they started to mutate into this other thing that I think the white media picked up on, and they began to push, right? They were buying up those black blogs and websites.
Yeah.
And then they hired these people like Jamila. What'd you say?
I want to throw in another ingredient that I think was out of our radar when it was like happening, but I've been learning about retroactively, and that's Tumblr. Like a lot of these people, if you research, you find out they used to have Tumblrs, and I feel like the site Tumblr was where a lot of this stuff was kind of incubating, and people were going
Yes.
mentally insane out of sight. And now a lot of those ex Tumblr people have graduated into legitimate media, and they still write and think like they're on Tumblr, and they try to insert a lot of those Tumblr attributes, and also a lot of them have moved into Twitter. They moved into Twitter and they moved into legitimate media. So I feel like I call them Tumblr refugees. But now, whenever I see a bad article, I always search the internet of the person's name and the word Tumblr to see if I could discover they had a Tumblr or not. And like 7 times out of 10, I found out they had a Tumblr. The remaining 3 out of 10 could have probably had a Tumblr too, but they just, I just couldn't find it. But uh, um, Aisha Callahan, I'm looking at it right now, had a Tumblr.
How to what?
I just searched it right now, and I'll put it on the screen. I don't know what type of brainwaves come out on Tumblr that they send through the screen to make people crazy. I don't know. You know how some TV shows give people seizures? Something happens with Tumblr.
Yeah.
I don't know, where people just lose their goddamn minds. But check it out.
No, I
I
remember Tumblr being because there was a lot of mental health content on Tumblr back in the day.
Yeah,
And I
but I
remember a
think
lot of
talking
that.
about mental health so much actually made people think they were crazy, even if they weren't.
Yeah, no, I legit believe that because I think people oversimplify, and I've talked about this before. They tend to oversimplify things around mental health. And so you have these people who have these extreme statements and judgments, and then they start believing they have. It's like going to what's that website? So when you WebMD, it's like going to WebMD,
Yeah,
and then you start thinking you got stomach cancer because you had it, and turns out it was heartburn. Because a lot of the symptoms are very similar and they're described very similarly, but that's why you go to a doctor so they can actually run tests, right? Um, and there are
yeah.
tests to
These people are
test.
like that with mental health. They never went to a therapist, but they diagnose themselves as having all these problems off of
Right.
Tumblr.
Right. A psychiatrist specifically, right? Though, because that's the medical doctor. Um, and the thing is, a lot of them don't see. I don't have a problem with people sharing their story. I love when people who've had a journey have resources, sources, and information to share. I love that. What I don't like is you have these people who just get on here whining and then saying you can't argue with them or challenge them because they have some sort of sickness that you don't know if they do or don't have. And they're basing it off of the fact that they read online that when you sleep a lot, you're depressed, you know.
Yeah,
But you can't challenge their argument because they feel like and it really bothers me because I think that's part of the reason why we have the problem we have with language now, with how certain conversations are being had. Like I almost don't even like using the word trauma because it's so overused and misapplied. I don't really like I don't use the word toxic anymore. And toxic actually has a meaning. Like a lot of these things have actual meanings, and there's
yeah, but they
actual
diluted
ways
it to
to
death.
get diagnosed. I actually got diagnosed with depression when I was going through depression. I'm not going through depression now, but when I was, because they swabbed my mouth and they saw my hormone levels were too low. They swabbed my
Mm.
mouth for cortisol. And so there's actual things that are physical that occur in addition to mental, right? But they only want to talk. They don't know anything. They don't know this. They probably don't even know you can get tested. They probably don't even know that. They don't know you can get your hormones checked. They're probably not going to do it because that's not what they're about. What they're about is putting together a presentation or a show and showing us that they have it worse than everybody else. Some of them may actually have depression and that's why they're doing it. But I also think some people are diagnosing themselves and creating the problem in their imagination. And that's something that happens. It's a literal thing that happens. So it's not like I'm saying that don't go out there thinking everybody that says that they're depressed ain't depressed. I'm not saying that. But I do think people are trying to make their mental health issue a personality trait on the internet.
Oh yeah, for sure. People just want a way to seem interesting, and I think having
Exactly.
trauma to them, they think it's going to be, or even if they do legitimately have trauma, it's almost like they think if I actually get over this, I'm going to be boring. So I think either they're inventing they have trauma, or for the people who really do have trauma, have romanticized it so that
Yeah.
they can't. It's become what they call egocentric, like which means that when you're ailment, you start thinking of it as a good thing instead of a bad thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely what happens to them. Let me see if we can find the video that started this whole thing. Um, let me see. I think Q posted it. I saw it up like a lot, but is there anything else that you wanted to mention while I'm looking for
um,
this thing?
yeah, I was gonna say something else about the mental health thing. Um, oh, I was gonna reiterate my other point. I love it when people have a story and they share information. Well, what have you been doing, even if you're still going through it? Because the reality is when you're dealing with mental health issues and you're dealing with trauma, it's not something you just get healed from overnight, right? And there's still things that make you feel like you're getting set back, and that's how professionals can help you. Your therapist can help track your progress. But when we have these people who are just saying whatever, and they're not sharing resources, they're not sharing information, then what's the point? Like, why are you telling me this? I can't help you. If you have people specifically that can't help you, I hope that they see what you're saying and they help you. But I feel like if you're going through it, tell us what you're reading. Tell us what you're watching. Send me a link to something that helped you. And that's what somebody did. Somebody sent me a link to understand the things around narcissism and codependency. And that's when I first learned about the human magnet syndrome. And I thought that was great information that someone shared with me. Share, if you have resources, share that, but don't just be up here whining. So show us that you're doing some sort of work within yourself, so those of us who are still struggling can be inspired, instead of just looking for more people to have a pity party with you. Did you find it?
No, I was listening to you. I was listening to you about the pity party, and I just got like kind of caught up in what you're saying. No, let
That
me.
compelling of a speaker T, is that what's happening?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. I was enjoying
Gas
what you
me,
were
why don't
talking
you?
what you were talking
um
about. But
but
it's true though. Like or what they're sharing is not what people need. That's nothing that happens. Like they're just sharing stuff that I think will do more harm than good. Like when people have like real problems, and I see them sharing like a lot of this uh self-love is radical care. No, radical care is wait
self-care is radical.
yeah, and it's like do this to feel better and whatever, and it's like
Yeah, it's okay you don't go to work. It's like, maybe
yeah,
it's time to go
stuff
to
like
work.
that, stuff that's basically like secret, like magical thinking. There's a lot. That's the word I'm looking for. There's a lot of magical thinking masquerading as therapeutic advice, and I think that's. Hold on, why is Harlem? Oh, here's another topic. The fresh and fit, like, why are these guys so popular, man? Like, I feel like the fresh and fit guys are to dating coaches, like what Drake is to rappers. Like, do you remember when dudes used to want to see like a guy with swag be a rapper, and then they started making the aspirational people who look and sound just like them. Like because when I see Drake, I'm okay. Drake is like, I remember when I was young, I used to listen to Cool G rap. Like, damn, wish I could be that cool. Or you see like Snoop. Or you see someone who's like aspirationally cool,
Mhm.
like incredibly cool. And then when I see like these people like worshiping Drake, I'm like, yo, Drake just like your homeboy. Like, I don't even understand. Like, he just talks about simping and getting crushes on Hooters waitresses and getting this. Like I just don't understand. Like, he's just you with more money. But I guess that is the appeal. Like, he makes you kind of feel like, hey, I can be rich or whatever while being as mediocre as I am, or you know, and I feel like the fresh and fit guys are like that. Like the old like people who try to give you like dating advice would like it's like Bishop Don Juan or something, you know, where they had like some kind of larger than life persona, and like people used to like worship like not saying it's good to worship pimps, but at least there was something about the image that you can see where people get hypnotized by it. But these
Right.
dudes just look like lames. I don't even understand
Well, the thing about pimps is they actually know what they're doing. Like they actually
that
know
too.
psychology. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that too.
Um,
They abuse
these
it,
guys
but
are
they do
just
know psychology.
cornballs on the internet. I'm surprised. I don't know how they got popular recently because they've been around for a minute. And the only reason I know is because of the manosphere. I'm gonna shout out Aaron, but yeah, the manosphere has been one of the most enlightening spaces because I didn't know most of this stuff existed until
Oh
that.
yeah.
So I've seen those guys, and I've seen other clips of this guy. he had this, and the thing that's so funny about the fresh and fit guys outside of YouTube, they don't seem to get much love. You know, even guys are like, "Yo, this nigga, you weird." Like,
But no, but that's what I was gonna say though. Like this guy saying they're weird, but in every thread that they're brought up in, if you look, there'll be a bunch of guys who'll be like, "No, they're dropping knowledge. You guys are just haters and this that." I'm like, "You're standing for this."
but if you look at those guys' accounts, what do you normally see? Some cornball shit. Let's just be
Yeah,
real.
that's
It's
true.
anime character or some corny some meme as their profile picture. You know,
But I
it's
feel like
their
even corny dudes used to look up to like fly dudes. You know, like they just look for like another
maybe.
corny dude to make them feel good. That's what
But I think they
that's
relate
yeah.
to the corny dudes, you know. The fresh and fit guys, and I think they're phony. Like I don't even think they're actually getting girls. The way that they
First off,
talk.
I think one of them is not even black. I'm sorry, that dude is not black. He
Yeah, he's
looked
like Sudanese. He's like Arab.
yeah, see
He's like,
something's going on with him. I think he keeps his hair low so he can hide the texture. Because that dude, he said
yeah,
he's black. I'm not buying it.
yeah. I'm not. I think he's
He's blackfishing.
yeah, something like that. I do think like I've seen him like what's that? He had a clip that went around once and he was saying that if you're with a girl and she, you invite her over and she acting funny about, fucking or whatever, go into another room, act like you're calling another chick, and then, like, and then walk back in the room and be like, yeah, I have another chick, you have to go because I have another chick coming over. And then that'll make the girl that's there, say, no, I'll do it. I'll have sex with you. Like, how creepy is
Yeah.
that? But that was his advice. As opposed to that's how you know he's a phony. Number one, as opposed to just kicking it with the girl and enjoying your time with her, and eventually the energy's right and it happens. Nah, that ain't how that worked for him. Because you're a
Even
fucking weirdo.
even when
I also
Kevin
don't see that
Samuels,
working on too many girls unless she has like the lowest self-esteem on earth. I really
yeah.
don't see that working.
I mean, the way they act, I mean, just the fact that she's going on a date with him already probably means that there's probably some low self-esteem happening. I don't know. So
Probably.
there's probably an instant screen for low self-esteem just going on a date with him, But even Kevin Samuels, for all the grief that we gave him, I can kind of see somebody getting taken in by him because he has those really nice suits and he does have a charisma to him. I will admit, even though I think he
He
says some
don't he don't
off the
look
wall.
broke and dusty. That's what it
He don't look
is.
broken, dusty, and he's like he does say some funny shit sometimes, and I can see him. People keep getting caught up into him, even though I think his fan base is weird too, calling him like Godfather or Uncle and all this stuff. But those
It's
guys, they
sad.
don't even seem that cool to hang out with. Like
No, they don't. I'm,
the,
I'm actually
the-
curious to see how they actually operate in their social circles because I feel
yeah,
like they're
I see
like
him at a bar, like laying down game. I just want to see what they do.
right. Like my brother was telling me sometimes you gotta think about guys in this like there's guys that are in the circle that are just that's gonna say something goofy, right? You have your one friend, that's just so and so. He said some dumb shit, he goofy or whatever, right? And you gotta just move on from it. But then you got niggas that ain't even in the circle. Like you wouldn't even fuck with some of these niggas. And so I think that those guys are the guys that aren't even in the circle. I just think they're wannabes and they see the other guys and they want to be, but because they don't. Also, other thing you'll notice this: they shit on men who actually have women. they call them simps and all this other shit. So niggas that get pussy, they don't like.
Oh wait, so he got let go for his for his rapey YouTubes.
You said what?
No, he's Isaac's dropping some information about
Myron
that.
Gaines is a Sudanese Arab named Amrul, and I guess that's how you say his name. And Fresh is Bayesian, whose real name is Walter Weeks. Myron was a Homeland Security agent until 2020, when his job found out about the, I'm guessing, podcasts.
Yeah, or maybe the rapey videos. Right? He's like,
Yeah, that shit was rapey as hell. And
some people
I'm not quick to call shit rapey. I'm really not. But that shit was rapey. Oh yeah,
yeah. And even though he says that he, I'm still not sure. I mean, he says that, but who really knows? I mean, God, I wouldn't want that guy doing anything with immigrants, man. He better get in a back room and be like, hey, you know, if you want to get past the screening, you know, you better drop those drawers. He's like that kind of dude. I don't know, because he's pretty rapey in those videos. So I wouldn't give him any type of institutional power. Definitely.
Well, he's clearly a little nuts, and I think he wants power badly. I mean, and him and the other guy, they were talking bad about Black Americans and, you know, doing that whole thing about how immigrants work so hard, because niggas ain't never worked hard in America. I don't know what the fuck. Like, what do you know where that comes from, T? What is up with this perspective that we don't work?
Man, I think it comes from this idea that people want to come here. Well, I think first people come here and they come from countries where you know, Black lawyers, black doctors, Black everything is everywhere, and people don't really think of things in terms of race, but in terms of like class. So they kind of come here with that attitude about, you know, oh, it's about, you know, class and hard work or whatever, because we come from some place where everybody, you know, but then they come here and then suddenly they're at risk of being niggerized. And then I think a lot of that is like a cope or a defense mechanism. Like they want to believe, I think to a degree, some Black Americans can fall into this trap too, but not as a group, but as individuals. I think immigrants a lot of times do it as a group, but they think they want to believe that being a nigger is something that you behave your way into, and that you can behave your way out of. And because I think I think when you're born and raised in America, you can make a certain type of peace with, this is what I'm going to be in this country, like what I'm going to be seen as far as no matter how good I do, I'm going to be seen as an N-word. Whereas they come from a place where they weren't originally that, and now they have to take it on as an adult. I think it becomes like a cope. Like you want to believe that these people behave their way into this space so that you can you know, have that. It makes it easier to grind if you can tell yourself. If you
it's
can
like
tell
a
yourself
way of
that.
keeping your hope alive.
Yeah. I think so. And you know, they say like within like one generation, that difference kind of disappears. Like when the kids are born here, a generation or two, the outcomes end up being the same as you know, Black Americans, because you know, people grow up here and they just realize the same shit that, you know, American Black people realize, that is just a bunch of bullshit. Even though these new second gen, I feel like when I was coming up, second gens weren't as bad as they are now. Like I feel like these new second gen Americans hold on to their parents' bullshit like a lot harder than before. I'm not sure exactly why.
You don't know why?
But
yeah,
but they hold on to. I think might be different too. I think a lot of times, Now, a Nigerian or a Caribbean person or whatever who thinks like that, they get to go right to the white neighborhood and raise their second gen people in the white neighborhood. Whereas before, I feel
Mm,
like you used to end up in the black neighborhood if you were
right.
a black immigrant. So your kids kind of grew up with the black Americans, and you just yeah, because like all these root riders and these blue checks with the flags and stuff. Whenever they tell this story, it's always like my parents came from Africa and they put me in this white suburb in Michigan. I went to a boarding school. I kind of
Hmm.
noticed that with a lot of these people's
Right.
origin stories now. But I mean, if people in the chat have an idea, uh,
Other thing I've noticed is some of them, and I was just about to say this 2008 B Scott. If their parents come in with credentials from the home country, then I know they are sort of an aberration, have some more social economic mobility than a lot of rest of us and immigrants without that background. That's another thing.
yeah,
Um,
selection bias. You're absolutely right.
yeah. So, from what I understand, in certain countries, it's harder to come over here and get sponsored to stay here if you don't have certain credentials. So you're getting here. These are people who are already engineers who are already. So they'll tell you the story. Oh, my dad came here and he mopped floors for 30 years and sent me through college, or he worked his way up in the company, from janitor to the executive, but they don't tell you that their dad was an engineer before he got here.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. He ended up working as a janitor because of like racism and stuff, but he was something different in the yeah. But Isaac made a good point. I want to find it. He said this one, which I think is kind of true too. Like it's not even immigrant things. Gen Zers don't care about any tradition. They were born to the digital era. Everything is fair game to them.
That's a
I'll
good
give you an
point.
example of that. I'll give a perfect example. I think Vita said this too on Twitter, but I said something like all these black people going over the top to worship Betty White when she died, but Sidney Poitier, they're all like quiet. And you know, like those sassy Twitter people always gotta say something like, uh, damn, well, what has he done like the past 10, 20 years? Betty White, we've seen like every day, you know, like and make excuses
Mhm.
for it. And I'm like, it takes you 20 years to forget an icon. Like, how is that an excuse? Like,
Right.
there were plenty of people I knew when I was growing up who were 20 years inactive, but I knew who they were. Like, you know, the tradition was they were still celebrated, and you know, like things like Lena Horne wasn't active when I was growing up, but we all knew Lena Horne was, you know. But
Right.
something else I think happens too. People have too much content now, right? I remember growing up, and Mario and I kind of joked about this, and I think you might be old enough to have experienced this because I don't think you were born into the total content explosion, but this idea that you used to have to watch things that weren't made for you, or you would end up watching things that weren't made for you just because it was on and there
Hmm.
wasn't that much choice. So, like for example, dudes used to watch. People think it's crazy, but dudes used to watch Golden Girls.
Hmm.
And if you talk to any like black dude my age, we've all seen the Golden Girls, and we watched several episodes of it. And you would, but today, no straight black dude who's into hip hop would watch Golden Girls because you have 100 things you could watch. You could order anything on streaming or whatever. So
Right.
I think that's kind of what made things different. Like we used to know I Love Lucy. We used to know Leave It to Beaver. We used to watch old white shows. We used to watch
But I think you're forgetting.
Designing
Yeah.
Women
Well, actually, not
because
forgetting because you're commenting on it. But
Mhm.
growing when we were growing up, like you just said, you just had to watch what was on. And if you had a household with no cable, you definitely had to watch what was on.
Yeah,
And when I was a kid, when I was with my dad, my mom had cable, my dad didn't, but I was living with my dad, and I would watch I Love Lucy a lot in Little House on the Prairie because that's what now I like those shows, but that's because I watched them damn near every day because the reruns came on every day.
yep. It came on
Um,
after school.
after in the morning before school, after school, if you're homesick, because that's how I watched Little House on the Prairie. Whenever I was homesick, I'll go to my grandma's house, and my grandma used to like Michael Landon, and she liked Bonanza and anything that guy was in, she likes. And so we liked. I ended up liking Little House on the Prairie a lot. Actually, I still think it's a really good show. But like, yeah, but it was what was on. It wasn't like I could go to my phone or to my computer and stream something else, and put my headphones on and do my thing. Yeah, Jeffrey Corley, little Andy Griffith's another one of my favorite shows. I watch a lot of old TV shows. You guys know this, and I think a part of that was because I didn't have cable, and my dad was also very strict because I told you guys, my dad was highly religious, so we weren't allowed to watch a lot of stuff. Gabriella said I influenced her to watch to binge Mary Tyler Moore. I told you it's a good show. Now tell me,
Yeah, it's a good show.
Gabriella, was then this is a hard question. This is a hard one, but I have my choice. Which character do you think Betty White was funnier in playing, Rose or Sue Ann Nevels, whatever her name is, Sue Ann Nevels? I thought Sue Ann was the funniest because I guess, to be fair, I grew up watching Rose, so to see her as Sue Ann was totally it was so funny to me because it was so opposite. Because Sue Ann was hot to try.
You know what's interesting? They were gonna hire her to play Blanche on Golden Girls precisely because of that, and then the last second they decided to let Rue McClanahan play Blanche and to let Betty White do an opposite role because I guess they figured it'd be too much like the Mary Tyler Moore thing. So yeah, and I think it kind of worked out. She was good. She was able to but yeah, she was actually gonna play Blanche at 1st.
Which would have been funny as well, but not nearly as funny as her playing Rose. But anyway, I really like the Mary Tyler Moore show. That just became one of my favorite shows. If you really want to, is what's really interesting about that show. It's very feminist without being feminist. And that goes back to something we've talked about being subtle with shit. Like they didn't have women's rights marches and shit in Mary Tyler Moore show, but you had this the character just being her. She was a single girl. It's the early 1970s. It's just so we're talking about a brand new era of women who aren't getting married, getting jobs just to find a husband. Right? She actually spends the whole series. She never gets married, but she develops strong friendships. She has relationships, she has casual sex. These are things that weren't on TV, and they weren't showing her having sex. They just kind of implied it when she didn't come home or something, right? They had conversations around like jokes about abortion. You have to catch it, but things like that, but without being this heavy-handed political show. And the funny thing is, Mary Tyler Moore was highly conservative, the actual actress. So it was really but the show, but it's just an example. Rhoda was also a great show. Rhoda's a spinoff of Mary Tyler Moore. Y'all know I know all these old shows, but it wasn't so heavy-handed, it was just a character being different and being her, and then what she encountered. She did, like, the first episode is heavy-handed, but in a very funny way. She goes to apply for a job. And the guy asks her if she's married, questions she's not supposed to ask her. But remember, a lot of these laws are brand new at that time, so they're making a joke of it. You can't ask people's religion, all this stuff, but he's asking all these questions, just being an asshole. But it's super funny. I miss that kind of writing, without having to be so, let's alienate the other conversations, alienate people who are on a different side of the conversation. And I don't think that works for a TV show.
Yeah. But I also think like that inability or that lack of need to ever feel like you have to watch something old, or the patience, because there's a lot of shows like, if I probably had an option to watch something like up my alley as a kid, like a cartoon on the other channel, I probably wouldn't have made it 5 minutes into Golden Girls. I would just like, hey, or let me go see Knight Rider. But you only had like really cool shows up your alley certain times. So like as a kid, I could get Knight Rider or Dukes of Hazzard and one of those action shows like once or twice a week. The rest of the time, there might be nothing but Golden Girl type shit on, or Designing Women. So you have to watch it. So these
Designing Women, oh my
or something,
god,
or something old, like like I Love Lucy was a great example. But yeah, these people now don't have to watch anything old if they don't have to. They don't have to watch any genre. They can sit on Netflix and watch like Marvel movies all day long. Like if I was to say I just want to watch nothing but superhero stuff, I could probably go a solid week of just streaming cartoons, recent animated movies, Marvel movies, DC movies, and never have to stop. I could probably go a month straight. And so yeah, I never go before 2005 on top of that. So yeah, I think let's say these people have no respect for tradition, or where they always end up lying about how groundbreaking things are because they don't try anything. So it's easy to believe like a show that came out like 5 years ago was like the first black private eye movie or something, or whatever it is, because you won't watch Low Down Dirty Shame. Like that's, you have no reason to.
Right. That's a good point. And I think it's not even so, I don't really care about kids passing down tradition as much as I care about that we're not, and I don't even blame the kids for this or the younger generation for this. I think this is on us and the previous generations, in that we didn't really uphold legacy enough. Like, I'm very shocked at people, maybe because of how I grew up, and I know how me and my brother grew up can be a little bit different for a lot of people, but we grew up in a very musical household, very, very musical household. So I'm shocked when I talk to young people and they don't know artists from my era. That shocks the fuck out of me, because I knew all the artists of my parents' era. Because we played it all the time. I still enjoy it. There were songs I liked, songs I didn't like. There were artists I didn't like every artist growing up. My parents played. I thought some of that shit sounded old. Then when I got older, I appreciated it. But it's
even if you want to play music for your kids now, that how can you make them listen to it? Because, for example, we had one record player. We had a small apartment, and that was it. But now everybody has a phone and earbuds. So first off, your parents probably playing something in their ears, but say they play it out loud. The minute is not what the kid wants to hear. All they gotta do is go to their room and pop in their thing. Yeah. Everybody watches TV on there. We used to have like one TV, so you have to kind of vote democratically, and then just watch stuff together. So one of the reasons why we watched Golden Girls was because that's what my mom wanted to watch, and that's the one TV. So we just like made do, you know what I mean? And then she would let us watch Knight Rider or Growing Pains and that stuff, and you just kind of took turns, so you kind of learn to give and take with other people's tastes. But yeah, I mean,
growing up, I had my own stereo in my room, and I had my own room because I was the only girl. So I often listened to music on my own, and I listened to music while we cleaned. Or my dad was a guitarist, so he'd play the guitar. And he'd teach me about music. And he'd sit there, he'd play some music, and he on his guitar, then he'd play some music from another artist on a CD, and he'd explain to me certain things. And granted, I don't think all parents do that. My mom isn't a musician, but she kind of did similar stuff. It trips people out. I do that when I listen to music. I actually listen to the music. But you know what? It's kind of switching gears a little bit. Not much, but a little. There was a girl who posted something saying that, talking shit about us old folks, right? And she was saying something about us talking about R&B music, and she's saying that there's good R&B now. Just because it doesn't sound like the old stuff doesn't mean it isn't good. Y'all just think R&B is supposed to sound one way, and I don't think they really understood what we grew up with. Because I pointed this out. I said, no, I don't think it's that. Because I think Black people in general, we're very open to new sounds if it's good. These are new artists that we're seeing the most of can't sing. They really cannot sing. I think people are confusing carrying a tune live with their auto-tune mic as live singing. And so I even saw like one of my followers even tried to, one of my younger followers. I was like, by the way, I didn't know there was so many young people following me. I found this out later. They'd be messaging me talking about they learned from me. And I'm like, oh my shit. Anyway, so this one young guy, he replies that talking to my tweet saying this ain't it. And they're trying to say that I was wrong. So I made a thread of 90s R&B. And I was trying to show these people, and I even asked them, I said, can you give me 3 female R&B singers that you listen to that could pull off that Brownstone song, If You Love Me? And you remember, they sing 3-part harmony and damn near some of the highest notes you've ever, in 3-part harmony, still in 3-part harmony, singing all in this soprano tone, all high as fuck. These new singers can't even, you don't even hear them singing harmony anymore. Can they even do that?
I can't think of anyone I've heard do harmony recently.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So the singing skill is not in a lot of it. Now, that doesn't mean all the kids can't sing, but you have to name me the ones that can do the things that I showed them Shanice doing. Show me and live, not with no track. Show me them hitting them notes. Show me. I want to hear them doing those runs.
But I think in iSound Info is saying this, they look for different things. But I think one thing they look for, have you ever noticed all the time, people now feel entitled to be liked and approved. And we've gone from, some people like, they deserve affirmation to now people think they're entitled to like affirmation and validation. And what I mean by that is like, they're always quick to jump on you if you think that, if they read in any way that you're not endorsing them, like when I had the bingo card and I made the joke about Octavia Butler, but I wouldn't think Octavia Butler is bad. I was joking about people who are lazy writers who keep mentioning Octavia Butler to kind of name drop that they know one black sci-fi writer, and that girl who retweeted like, this bingo card is mostly funny, but I don't like the sci-fi thing. Are you saying black people can't like sci-fi now and this, that? And I was like, I wasn't saying that, but first off, even if I was, like, who cares? Like, when I was growing up, you know how many people didn't like rap? Like, in the 80s and 90s, I had to deal with so many people telling me like rap was crap all the time. Like, that was a slogan, and like my oldest sister and my older people, like, disco sucks. They had to hear crap about disco. Like, people live their lives. Like, now people act like if they come across one person random on the internet who doesn't like what they like, they're being attacked. But I think that need for affirmation starts leading to what they like in their music. Like, for example, the word gatekeep. When people say like, oh, this Blue Check Black and their show is corny, whatever, or this thing you did is corny. They're like, are you gatekeeping blackness? Like, the word gatekeeping, I'm so like sick of, because they abuse it. Like, they use any criticism as gatekeeping. Like, they would see,
I didn't know what that shit meant until the internet. I did not.
They would see that brownstone thing, right, and think that you showing that much talent is actually like oppressive. Like, they'd be like, so you're gatekeeping singing. People who can do 3-part harmony. Like, that's how they would say it.
You're gatekeeping R&B. You're trying to,
you gatekeep R&B by saying only people who are extremely talented. Like, they actually like it's not a bug, it's a feature how regular these people are.
And
I mean, it goes with rap too. Like, so I was just saying one last thing. Like, when you saw like a Rakim or a Big Daddy Kane, like, they were so astronomically above, like, lyrically, what was out there, and everybody wanted to go home and write in their pen, write with a pen and pad, and try to like rap like that. Like, it just like made rap jump up a quantum level from what was going on before. But it's like, now when people see that,
that's why the 90s is considered the golden era, because that's exactly what happened. They stepped up. I think
sword sharpening swords. Yeah. I mean, Wu-Tang came out, people are like, holy crap, like, this is insane. But now people actually want a rapper that feels attainable. I think that's happening with a lot of stuff.
I was gonna say to iSound Info, I think it was iSound Info that said that about the young people not caring. Was that iSound Info?
Oh yeah. He was saying that they look for different things in music.
I don't have a problem with that, but don't tell me these folks can sing. Just tell me you're not looking for good singing. Say, I don't really care about good singing. I'd rather you just tell me that, but don't argue with me and tell me that these kids can sing and then you don't have any examples of them singing like the people that I posted. I posted Shanice, Shantae Moore, Tracy Spencer. I didn't even post huge people. I post because they were trying to say that, well, that's just the mainstream. I said, but you have to understand, we had a mix. We had people who maybe weren't the greatest. Bobby Brown wasn't a great vocalist, But that was fine. We had Johnny Gill, right? We didn't. Janet Jackson wasn't the greatest vocalist, but that's fine. We got Anita Baker. Like it's there. There's no. They don't have that right now. But I'd rather you just tell me you don't care about good singing than argue with me. These people can sing. I remember a girl got mad at me. Must have been like 18. It was my friend's friend, and she got mad because I said J-Lo can't sing. She's like, yes, she can sing, which I thought was honestly when I said it.
I thought even her fans knew she couldn't sing.
I thought it was common knowledge, but this girl was such a super fan because people don't know how to be fans and understand that the people that they are fans of have their limitations, right? If you like J-Lo because she's pretty, because you like how her style, you liked the songs that they did for her, I think Waiting for Tonight is a great song, I'd rather you just go ahead and say that. You don't have to lie to yourself and say these people can sing. Like
I'll give a great example. Like Nice and Smooth were huge rappers when I was young, and none of us, not a single one, said that they were dope lyricists. Like we knew they weren't. They just made fun, catchy songs. Like
exactly.
We weren't sitting around trying to create goat conversations around Greg Nice. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I have my baby brother is my reference for all Gen Z stuff, and he's 16, and I showed him the thread because he likes music like me. He likes music, so we talk about music, and I teach him a lot about hip hop history and music history. Teach him how to listen to music. So I showed him that thread, and now he's a guy who don't like my brother don't like R&B at all. To be honest with you, he pretty much only likes rap. That's it. He's not deviating from that. He likes hip hop, nothing else. So I showed him the thread, and he was like, "Whoa!" Like these. I showed him Lisa Fisher hitting that note, and How Can I Ease the Pain? And he was like, "Nah, nobody's doing that." I think I take it back. I think he liked a couple of Brent Faiyaz's songs, whatever his name is. Yeah, I think he liked a couple of those, but other than that, I don't think he likes R&B, but he liked that thread because he could see what I was talking about. The songs weren't his style. Of course, they sound old to him, and they are old, but he could at least acknowledge, oh, those are vocals, but a lot of these other kids can't admit these kids. I'm sorry, a lot of these folks can't sing, and some of them have nice voices, but they don't have any. But the ones who do have nice voices they don't have any real competition to really push them to the edge. I think those Chloe and Halle girls can sing. I think they can do the harmonies. Those two girls could do that Brownstone song. Now I don't know who the third one would be.
Yeah, and it's like even if you can sing individually, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can harmonize with other people, which I think is something else that's happening. Have you noticed there's no groups anymore? Really, there's no singing groups and there's no rap groups. Like there's a lot of solo rappers who I think if they did it like back in the day and they were like with 3 other people, they could succeed because there's a lot of people now who are not good enough to be a solo rapper. Like you're just okay and you need to be there with someone else. But I think there's no money in music anymore, so no one wants to be a solo rapper.
Because you got to split that money, and I think it's
and the money's worse.
And it's not really worth it. But
people want to be stars, so people want to jump straight to being a star, so they don't want to have to share the spotlight too. I think,
but that's what's happening. And that's why we have microwave music, because they don't have to sleep on the floor of the tour bus of another artist anymore. They don't have to sing at empty clubs, to build a following. They don't have to go to all the open mics in their neighborhood just so people can know who the fuck they just go on the internet, and get some buzz. Which you would think, but what's funny is, we see a few of the people that can become hits off of social media. We don't see how many of them don't become hits. So it's always funny to me.
SoundCloud is like a graveyard of those people.
Yo, real shit. So I don't think people understand, like, just because people have an internet following doesn't mean that they blow up commercially.
I want to play this thing. I think this is the last thing.
Oh yeah.
Do for tonight. But this is the one that had a lot of people showing their ass.
thing
This shit
on
pissed me
most
off.
straight black men's resume is audacity. Y'all are literally the least qualified out of anybody in this country to lead somebody, but y'all always want to be in the front. But you know what? It's a special place in hell for a bitch like you that causes division amongst the entire community of people. Out of every subsection of the black community, y'all are the least educated and the most incarcerated. Please tell me what qualifies you besides
Pause
the
it.
dick between
Pause
your
it.
legs
Pause it.
to lead somebody into
I'm trying.
anything.
Hold on.
Y'all always want.
There it goes. Okay. Just
Yo,
pause.
listen to what he says. Y'all are the worst. Y'all oppress the other subsets of black people. Then he goes on to quote black male statistics, right? Or say that, you know, we're the most, you know, black men are the most incarcerated, are the least educated, all this shit, right? What's so funny about that is you can't use that stat and then talk about them oppressing these subsets. What are these subsets? My guess is he means women and the LGBTQ community, because those are the only subsets that he could possibly mean, because he's targeting
Yeah.
straight black men. However, the stats he's referring to don't differentiate between gay black men and straight black men. Those stats include his black ass. That's how
Yeah.
stupid he sounds. You're
But
saying y'all this and y'all that. The stats don't say straight black men. And on top
but
of
what
that,
you
you don't
just
know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say what you just said ties into something that we always say about these people, which is projection. Like they say, "Oh, you guys don't consider us black. You don't consider us black men. You don't consider us whatever. You separate yourselves." But when they talk, they give away the game that they're the ones to do it, because
Right.
they just assume that all this bad stuff happening to black men doesn't include them. Like I'm agreeing with you, but I'm also like saying
Yeah.
that they're always projecting, almost always, including
that's
the whole
fact.
censoring thing. Like, you know, you guys are always censoring yourselves, which is what they're always doing. This crowd.
Exactly. But you can continue. I just
People
when he
to
said that, that
breathe
shit just
life
pissed me off.
Yeah.
into y'all. At this point, it's just pure necromancy because you have no more life to give. Y'all suck the life out of every fucking thing.
I like the idea that they're just doing so much for everybody. Like they love portraying like they're just doing so much for everybody, and it's like I don't know what they're talking about. I mean, the one thing they try to bring up is protesting at Black Lives Matter, and those Black Lives Matter protests are just basically big outdoor cookouts for these people. Like, I've seen the clips of a lot of these things. Like they do a lot of chanting, do a lot of stuff, but sooner or later a Soul Train line breaks out. There's like
But what even came out of that? Even the organization that
yeah,
sparked a lot of this was telling us to vote for the same man that created the crime bill. You know? So
exactly.
so when you
No
say
convictions, no laws
exactly.
passed. So like what
Right.
have you
Nothing
done?
came out of it.
And which again goes to like, you know, what he's talking about, saying black men want props for delivering nothing and doing nothing, but it's like you're the same way. Like you don't want props and all this stuff for good intentions, which aren't even that good. You just really kind of did it to get some shine, but that's a whole different story.
Right.
I mean, let's
Exactly.
call it a thing. Y'all want to be white men so fucking bad. Y'all see white men at the heads of their household, and y'all can't even get a household to be the head of. Asking women questions like, what do they bring to the table when you don't even own your table? You rent it. Hell, that's even if you do rent it because it's probably in your mama name. I mean, if we could call the thing a thing, y'all are the common denominator out of every issue that we have in the black community. Y'all are literally the root cause. Blame black women for fatherless behavior, but then fail to realize that father is the person that you're not blaming.
You know, the bad part here is that this part is actually a good point, but he sandwiched it with so much toxicity. You know,
Wait,
you
what
know
was
what
the
I mean?
good point?
Well, he was because there's sort of a black guy that acts like single mothers are the worst thing on earth
Oh,
and whatever, but it takes a deadbeat dad to make a single mother a lot of the times. So, um, even though sometimes that's not the case, sometimes there's some people who are single mothers, but they don't let the guy be a part of the life. But there's also a lot of times people are single mother because the guy is just a scumbag or whatever. But A, you can't paint everybody with that, and B, um, like just like you can't paint every single mother as a
and that's exactly
no,
why it wasn't a good point, because
yeah,
it's a generalization of something that's very specific a very specific family
Yeah.
situation. And every family doesn't work that way. And we
Yeah.
wouldn't argue that. And
Yeah.
he's saying things like this is my other thing though.
Mhm.
If a white
Good.
man was saying all this shit about the black community as a whole, they would have an issue with it.
Totally.
In fact,
Totally.
they'd be screaming about how, they'd be quoting all the stats. It's like I said on Twitter. Because I said on Twitter, I said it's wild how people can quote negative stats about black men, education, incarceration, joblessness, homelessness, etc., then quote pseudo stats about black women being the most educated, then tell tales of how all the black women they know are thriving, but somehow conclude that black men have privilege. So how are you getting all this access to education and jobs, but you're the one that's got the least privilege between you and the men that don't got the jobs and aren't getting it and don't have that same access? And that's the thing that's so hypocritical about the shit. If you understand things from a sociological perspective when it comes to this one area, why can't you see it in the other? Also, those stats about women are fucking bullshit. They're not real. Because the reality is, if black women were actually thriving, then black families would be thriving. So that's not true.
Yeah.
Black children are still the poorest, are still the hungriest, right? So clearly that's not true. And I don't know why they keep saying it. It also is very dismissive. And if you notice, and I've seen people say this online, but I didn't notice how real this was until recently. But they also, you have to hate poor, uneducated black women to even say half that shit.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
because
And these people do.
they do. And you start to see that they're the same ones talking about getting with a white person because they can give you luxuries and they have good credit and they're going to take care of you. You don't have to get a job, which isn't even, I'm like, do y'all actually know people? Most Americans can't live like that.
White people are unicorns to them. Like the way they talk about white people, it's like it's like, have you ever met a white person? I want to ask them sometimes, like, because you just have this weird idea of what white people are that is so not based in reality. Like white people never argue, white men never cheat.
My favorite
You
is when
know,
they say only black people do this thing that every single solitary person does on earth that's in a relationship. It'll be like only black couples fight. Nah, nigga, I've seen all types of couples fight in public. I've seen a video of a Latina lady beating the shit out of her husband in the fucking airplane.
I think even if you do see it, they're like racist in that when they see a white person or any non-black person do something, they tell themselves, "Oh, well, that's a exception." But they see like one black person do it, and it's like, niggas. That's all of them, you know. I think that's how they think.
And the way that they talk, like black men are just so horrible to us and all this stuff. Have they not seen the domestic violence rates of Latina women? Like, what are you talking about? And you'll find the number one trend is poverty. You'll find that's the number one trend. Go ahead.
I'll add something else. Why do we not see like a million Latina women or or Latinx like doing this? Like there's a certain type of code that I don't know when it flew out the window for us. But yeah, despite all this stuff, I don't really see like Latina women going on and on and on the internet to anyone who listen.
Well, that's the thing. I can't say it is or isn't happening because I don't be in Spanish speaking Twitter. I don't be in,
but you don't have to be in Black Twitter. You don't have to be in Black Twitter to see this stuff because all my non-Black friends are noticing it now.
Yeah,
themselves.
I get that, but when it comes to language, so they could be doing it in a language and we don't know. Well, it's not going to show up. Because I didn't know it was happening in the Asian community until you said something, and then one of my tweets, I had three. I was talking about the Jamila article, and I had 3 Asian people, or at least presumed to be Asian people, telling me that they deal with the same shit in the Asian community about Asian men. That there's Asian feminist writers talking shit about Asian men and why they love white men.
Our show has a lot of Asian fans for that reason. And you want to know something crazy? They've sent me like literature from like there was like a 1970s like Tommy Curry type, Frank Chin, and I got a lot of ideas from him. Like a lot of this stuff I got from studying like the Asian American complaints about this stuff in the 70s. Yeah, so like I was reading up on like Frank Chin, like someone's like, have you read Frank Chin? I'm like, why you asking me about this Asian man? And then I read it, and I'm like, okay, now I see, because everything he's saying is like the same thing. But yeah, it's they even had their own type of Color Purple movie with Joy Luck Club. It's really
Yeah,
interesting,
that's
the
so
parallels.
true. That was a
Yeah,
tripped out movie. The
yeah.
craziest one to me in that story, there was a lady. So they had these different women had their stories, and it was like, oh, I can't say the crazy one. All of them are kind of crazy, but there was one where it was a Asian lady with a white man, and he was abusing the fuck out of her, treating her like shit, walking all over her. And then he divorces her or tries to divorce her, and he's like, no, I'm gonna take the house. And then she stands up for herself at this point, and then she's like, nah, fuck you, nigga, this is my house. And then all of a sudden he snaps out of it. Oh, you're strong, I love it. And then they live
Oh wow.
happily ever after. Dead serious. It's so fucking ignorant. It's so fucking ignorant.
You know what's funny? I tried to watch that movie like 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't get through it because that is like bad Asian, like it was stereotypical Asian music in the beginning and stuff. But then I
Yeah.
thought an Asian guy directed it. I was like, okay, that's surprising. But then my Asian friends told me, oh, that guy is he has his own kind of issues. He's kind of like
Oh.
A Lee Daniels type, where he like has some self hate issues. Because yeah, it was like really stereotypical Asian music that made me think, oh, this must be like a. Oh, anyway, let me continue with this horrible
Oh,
video.
it's still
And,
going, huh?
yeah, and as usual, feel free to stop me at any point.
Y'all blame men for being gay and say, "Oh, you grew up without a father." Do you see how you just pointed back to the issue? Y'all blame.
You know what's funny about this guy, right? He probably gets a lot of hate. He thinks it's because he's gay, but he just seems like a really annoying person. that's
I
the
could tell by
problem.
how he talks, he's annoying.
Yeah, he's the kind of person that I could tell will just say slick stuff out his mouth all the time,
Yeah.
and then act surprised when like somebody wants to like rock him in his face.
What I
Women
don't
for
like
having too many
is when they
kids
talk like that.
thing on most straight black
Yeah,
men's.
sorry. Go ahead.
It's all good. When they talk like that in that real like the tone, like that real condescending, fast talking
Condescending,
tone,
yes.
and they'll talk like that, and then wonder why nobody likes them. Like they think that it's because of one thing, and that could be definitely included in it.
Oh, for
But
sure.
sometimes the fact that you're just a condescending asshole, and even the way he's talking, like that shit just irritates me because they talk about they say, oh, he read you, or he's reading you off of filth and all this other shit. But the thing is, he didn't make any real good points. Like it's one thing when you can only, to me, you only eating somebody up if you actually have strong points that are damn near irrefutable. He didn't do any of that. He didn't make any strong points about anything. They were all generalizations and stupid. Go ahead.
And nothing about being gay requires you to sound condescending, because I have a lot of gay friends who sound feminine or whatever, but they sound like pleasant people. I have friends that don't sound feminine at all, some that do, but none of them talk with this condescending. I couldn't be friends with somebody who talks this condescending all the time. Like it would just grate at me, and like take little digs and just be so. Like I had one coworker who had that voice, and everything he would say would just be annoying. Like you would do something like, could you not do that? I was like, could you not ask me like that? Like, uh someone said, how can you exfoliate and be abrasive? Yeah. Yeah. And he would just always like say everything in the most snide. The word is snide. That's the word I'm looking for. Say everything in the most snide way possible. And then eventually he said that everyone at the company hated him, and he was like upset. But I was like, no, you're an asshole. That's why people don't like you. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Yo, it's funny because you can actually finish the video because there's actually some more left. Because I want to get to something else. Go ahead.
Okay.
Just point back to the issue. Y'all blame women for having too many kids as if they kind of don't. Maybe what y'all should start considering is that maybe our community is meant to be matriarchal, but y'all just can't accept it because it doesn't fit into what white man has told you you to believe. You're trying to do everything the white man does, but you're just trying to do it in black. It's literally the same shit.
You know what's kind of funny with this stuff is black men have been cool with their women working way earlier, and fine. I mean, all these type of polls. If you read like Tommy Curry's and Man Not and stuff, it shows like black men are actually like way more progressive on feminism like than just about any other race, and
Of
historically
course.
have been so. So it's like none of this guy's stuff has anything to do with reality. But
Not
anyway,
even a little bit. It has nothing to do with reality. And of
nope.
course, like you can't say that black men are the most oppressive and then say that we have a matriarchal house, or like the black community is matriarchal. Which one is it? Because I was told.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I could say something else too is you're shaming black men for not owning a home, not having a table, being like failed men. So it's like, how can you shame black men for wanting to be patriarchs, but you clearly buy into those values because that's what you're mocking them for. Like,
right.
He's so self-contradicting. He's making like they do that a lot. Like they will try to like say somebody's gay or say something emasculating about them, but they also say like black men should be okay because that happened to me like on the on Twitter, like someone was saying something to me, and they say, "You want you calm down, sis," whatever. And the first thing they're trying to say, the reason that they always do that is because they want you to get mad about being called like a feminine name. And I was like, so what I used to say is, why are you calling me a feminine name? Like it's supposed to insult me. Like, are you saying being a woman is bad? And then they're like, no, but that's what you think. I'm like, no, I didn't say that. Like, in fact,
right.
I'm
not the one saying it.
Yeah, I'm kind of insulted that you think that you're using something feminine as an insult and everything. And then they would just keep saying it. They're like, oh yeah, but I bet you wear a dress or whatever. And then I would just be like, yeah, maybe I do. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, what are you trying to say? Like, why do you assume I don't? Maybe I do wear a dress. And even if so, like, why are you using that as an insult? And they would get mad that I wasn't getting mad. It's kind of, yeah, and it's kind of like when you said you gave an example of a girl that was dark skinned and she wouldn't hate herself, and they could try and tell her that she should hate herself. Like, these men don't like you. Yeah, keep walking around your dark skin, see what happens. These colorist men, and they were saying all the colorist things to her that they were claiming that.
Oh, they do that to me all the time. These men don't like you. These men, ain't gonna pick you. These men think you're a mule. You just another black bitch, and you dark skinned. They told another girl that she was dark skinned and wears a wig, so those black men aren't gonna like her. So how dare you defend them? And it was funny because whenever you see pictures of her posting, there's lots of men complimenting her and all types of stuff, but it was all black women who were attacking her and calling her names and saying she was this and ugly. And, like even the guy, the Kamala Harris guy, I think he said something about my hair and then he deleted it.
Frederick Joseph, that guy.
I don't remember his name. I don't remember these niggas' names. I don't remember these people's names.
Probably what she's saying.
Yeah, to some degree, I think because I'm more so when I'm just talking to these people, I feel like I'm talking to their talking points. I'm not that invested in who you are. That's why I be forgetting to go to their profile picture. And everybody hits me up like, yo, this person got like 3 followers. Oh, I didn't even think to look because it just never crossed I'm not battling a person. I'm battling an idea. And that's kind of how I look at it. So I don't be paying attention until somebody like Kenny is like, but look at what they got in their profile. Of course they're an asshole. And I'm like, oh shit, didn't even look.
Oh, is this finished?
Was the video over? We still got more.
Unfortunately, but it's almost over.
I just realized I never finished this video. I didn't realize how.
I mean, y'all,
yeah, I don't think I finished it either until now. But
the most homophobic, the most misogynistic, the most transphobic, the most colorist, the most texturist, like the most xenophobic. And you are the most likely to date outside of your race. Y'all are a walking contradiction and a walking joke, and it's not funny. I always want to talk about breaking generational curses and building generational wealth. but you don't even have life insurance. Anytime you die, you got to do a damn GoFundMe. Y'all can't even die right. Y'all been trying to stick this square peg in a round hole for since.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there. There's only 10 seconds left, but that was the line I wanted to get to because that was the line that and this is the part I was asking at the beginning is what is up with people now and how crazy they get it because that y'all can't even die right. People who work for like BET and who write for like mainstream publications were cheering that line. That I think is the most fucked up thing that he said. You can't even die right.
Well, first he started out with a bunch of lies that he just made up out of nowhere. You
Yeah.
know, the most homophobic, the most colorist, the most sexist. What are you talking about? I'm trying to figure out what power do straight black men hold, or any black man, but straight black men hold that is oppressing other communities this way. Please, what exactly have they done? Did they create laws that said that you couldn't get jobs if you were gay? I'm trying to figure out that that's what they did. What are you talking about? How are they the most homophobic?
There was this woman Aisha Callahan. She works for BET now. She used to work for she used to edit The Root for like years. She wrote, "Well, this was a read," and then this woman, Brittany Daniel, was like, "Y'all can't even die right." She put a sassy meme, and then um, and then she says this. She goes, someone said, "What black men are y'all talking about?" She goes, "I believe the guy who responded to Umar was talking about straight black men." That's a lot of broad brushing he's doing in BS. And she goes, "There were defo, whatever, generalizations,
It was
but there are
definitely
some points, particularly many black men wanting the same privilege white men enjoy in the same way, which marginalizes women and LGBT folks." So, and she kept going on and on. There's more, but she kept saying they want the same power, they want to be white, they want to. So then I'm like, why do I remember her name? Because I remember her name from something. And I remember Penny and I had been talking about her years ago. And I'm like, I remember who this woman is. And I'm gonna show you who this woman is. You probably saw me tweet it, but I was like, um, I remember who this woman is, and she had this whole. She's an author. She writes these like romance kind of smut books for Kindle. They're like on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can like read her book Unlimited. Or you can buy them like a couple of dollars at a time. Like they don't sell for much, but I think she like moves them like in bulk. But she's prolific. She writes like a lot. But she writes swirl novels. Um
Mm, I
that
didn't
that's
even
her
know
that's
that.
her that's her genre. She writes swirl novels. And it's like I don't judge what everybody wants to do or whatever, but I'm like, how can you talk about black men are bad for wanting to be white men, but you write novels about getting with white men? So it's like if black men are bad for wanting to be white men, then how can you write novels dedicated to uh, romanticizing white men if they're so bad? That would be like, I hate you because you are an aspiring Nazi. By the way, buy my Nazi love stories. Like
Yeah. What?
it makes zero sense.
What?
Am I crazy?
No, it makes absolutely no sense, especially since there's like it, something I realized that people do, and I realized this even with I end up muting my thread about black male privilege, because I just got tired. I'm not gonna go back and forth with these niggas, but I realized people repeat a lot of rhetoric. They don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about. Like what she was saying, she's repeating rhetoric. That's not
Uh,
reality. Give me evidence that black men want the same thing, just want white supremacy, but as black men. They want black male supremacy. Show me this. I want to see how you came to this conclusion and how is and the evidence that they're going to show is all going to be anecdotal. And the thing about anecdotal evidence, you can find anecdotal evidence to prove a lot of shit. I can go find black women who say the same hateful, horrible things. They could probably gonna pull up any black man saying. When I asked what the privileges were, notice nobody actually gave me an answer. Though they gave me the answers that they usually give. Black men
Yeah.
had the right to vote first before any women. And I keep saying, well, how many white women got lynched trying to vote? Like,
And
what are you talking
yeah.
about? They could
And
not
also,
vote.
if you
Saying
have to
you
go
can
back
vote
to the
on paper does not mean you can
1800s,
vote. What'd
if
you
you
say?
have to go back to the 1800s for your example, that's doesn't really fare well. Like first is not a great example, but like you said, but also like you have to go back to the 1800s to make an example. Like
Right.
that alone.
And then on top of that, like they say, well, black men get their lives matter more because they get, there are marches and rallies and shit when they die, and when black women die, nobody cares. But one, that's not true. Two, if black men are the most killed, and we have 3 or 4 protests max, and not even every year, how is that a privilege? First of all, they're dead. So how do they get to benefit from the privilege of being marched about? I think if it was up to their mothers, I'm pretty sure they'll prefer their sons be alive than to be the face of a movement that's going nowhere.
These people worship attention so much that they actually think that if you died but you got attention, that it's a net win. Like, it's very bizarre. But then again, they don't even really believe that, because if so, they put their lives on the line. They never put their lives on the line for anything.
Yeah.
But this is what. So I started tweeting all this stuff, and I was not gonna say anything. I'm like, let her live her life. I don't want to. I'm tired of like getting into grief with these people, but I just couldn't stand her just keep saying over and over again that
Wait,
black men are
so what
bad
did she
because
say? I didn't even
he
read
said,
all the way what you said. Go back to what you said.
okay, so I'm gonna show what she said. She goes, there were definitely generalizations, but there are some points, particularly many black men wanting the same privilege white men enjoy in the same way, which marginalizes women and LGBTQ folks. And she added, I certainly don't think everything is black men's fault. Everything is still the fault of a white supremacist system. But the way some black men operate is how white men operate. And that's not how we all get free. So basically, what she says here is black men want to be white men. Everything's the fault of white supremacy. And then what makes those black men bad is that they want to operate like white men operate, and we don't get free from operating like white men operate. So then I just had to ask, I'm like, don't you specialize in writing black women, white man swirl fiction? And that's actually what she calls it. See the BWWM? Her genre is BWWM new adult romance, right? And you can see all the books on the left, right?
Mhm.
So it's, how bad can you really find white men then? You attack black men for supposedly wanting to be bad white men, but then you write romances elevating said bad white men. Like, can you make it make sense? And I tried to be like, respectful. I didn't call her out her
Make
name
it
or
make
anything.
sense is not trying to be respectful. Cut it out, T. Cut it
No,
out.
I was trying to be respectful.
Cut it out. No.
I felt, well, compared to what this deserved, I felt that was respectful.
Thank you. You have to qualify that, because that
Yeah.
in case they make it make
Yeah,
sense and say I was
compared to
being
what-
respectful.
And then her answer was, not that it actually matters to you, but no, I don't specialize in writing swirl fiction, and no one attacked black men.
Nigga. Wow. Okay, so
straight up gaslighting. Like
I was about to say, this is probably the first time on Twitter I've seen gaslighting actually used properly. Like this is actual. No, I don't specialize. Nigga, we're
picture
looking
is
at
right
the
here.
screenshots of all this shit that you do. And you just said you didn't attack black men. You just attacked black men. You're responding to the tweet.
And
Yo,
your books are like right there. But I saw someone do the same thing to you, where when you said about that woman, that point about how you said basically saying it's a privilege to die, and I saw somebody quote tweet you like, looks like someone has reading comprehension problems, and everyone got in their ass like, what did she get wrong? That's exactly what we can see the tweet. like it's
right.
only 280 characters. There's nothing to not comprehend.
Yo,
it wasn't like
she
a
was
deep
saying
point
in response to what privileges black men have. And that's why I was like, Maybe I'm not the one that can't read here, hun. I don't know what you're talking about. So this is literally what she just said. That happens to me a lot where people, I don't know what it is, where people act like I'm the one that's like making some shit up when the person just said this. No, that's not what that person said. No, that's literally what they just said. Yeah, they can't. It's funny because they couldn't actually name these privileges. I said, what are these? And they kept trying to say, well, there's patriarchy. But do you not understand what patriarchy is? You don't know? I'm like, nigga, what's the privilege at? Where is the privilege?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
what has that privilege afforded Black men in particular? What has that privilege brought them where they're thriving above anybody else? Please show
They
me.
think patriarchy is just this giant party where white men are like, everybody come on in. Latino and Black men, this all get some of this. Like, that's not what white patriarchy is. Like, white patriarchy is about protecting your men, like not having this. Like, when has it ever been a thing where white men are just like, hey, Black men, just you know, I got this judge in my pocket. You want some of that? I can help get you off. Like it doesn't work.
That
Like
reminds me
they
of
have
that
this
Rennie tweet.
co-patriarch delusion, like like this brotherhood of patriarchy, and that's just not how patriarchy works.
Yo, I'm a post Rennie's tweet because I thought this was pretty on
Oh
point.
yeah, please do. And also,
Um,
I'm done. I'm done. So you can take over for the rest of it. Any all the topics left can be yours.
I feel like did have something else, but I don't know what it is at the moment.
Thank you for the donation. Yeah, she thought everybody forgot about those books. Yeah, she was probably shocked that I have this horrible memory where I remember this painful stuff. But yeah, but when I posted it, I tweeted you guys. I'm like, I texted you guys. I'm like, I gotta know what she's gonna say, but I did not expect her to just say, no, I'm gonna show you what she did. Hold on, would you mind taking off the screen for just 1 second? I'm gonna
Oh
show you.
yeah.
I'm gonna show you exactly what she did to me. I'm gonna show you exactly what she did to me. This scene from a movie is what she did to me. Man, my computer is slow as hell. Okay, but actually, you know what? Put your thing up because this thing is going so slow, and by the
Well,
time
just quickly, I was just
Hmm?
what you just said made me think of Rennie's tweet. And shout out to Rennie. He's I guess he's co-host now with Zakia Sankara Jabbar.
Oh, is that like a permanent thing? That's great.
I thought she said it was his I don't know if it's permanent or not, but she co-hosted the thing that you were on. And that
Oh
was
yeah.
really good, by the way. That was actually really, really good. And I normally don't be like, I honestly be thinking it's gonna be more preaching to the choir type shit. But it wasn't well, it was a little bit, but it was fine. But for me, I'm not talking about other people, not for me. But I did learn a few names, learn a few things, and I actually found it to be really interesting. So I think people should check that out. We're actually gonna do a podcast with her. We recorded on Tuesday. But
Yeah, I'm
anyway,
excited
Rennie
about
has
that.
this tweet. Privilege is such an elementary marker to base understandings of oppression on. Was it this one? No, it wasn't this tweet, actually. It was a different tweet. We could read this one too. Why? Because privilege is relative. It's based on what is being measured. If you look at incarceration or killed by police, no one is more disadvantaged than Black men. If you look at maternal death, then it's Black women. But I actually didn't mean that tweet. I thought it was that tweet. But I'm in a different tweet.
Well, you know what? I have the other thing up, so if it buys you time to find that tweet, if you want to look, I can play the video. Do you want me to do that?
If I want to do what? Say it again.
Oh no, do you want me to play the video so it buys you time to look for Rennie's tweet, or do you want to just paraphrase the tweet?
I think. Well, go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay, I'll just play the video and then you can see if you can find Rennie's tweet. But this is the video. This guy is giving his friend advice on how to cheat. It's from this old movie called The Guide for Married Men, and he's telling him what he has to do to cheat. And this is what she tried to do to me.
Deny it. But what if she really? But what if deny? What? What are you doing? Where? What? When? Oh,
What is this?
oh, that woman there. Where? Charlie. What? You and that woman. What woman? The one who just left. When? But Charlie. What? Aren't you even ashamed of yourself? Why? Because of
Especially was hoping it was going to happen. This was me when she tweeted that.
Charlie. What? What would you like for dinner?
This is what she's hoping is going to happen. Or like what that
That
woman
is
was hoping when
funny.
she told you that you read the tweet wrong and she was saying what she said. Like, this is what they think real life works like.
Oh,
You
but
can just
that
gaslight
lady,
people
by
all the
the
time.
way, was I forgot her real name, but she plays Mildred Halper on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
What's her? What is it? Imogene? That's not Imogene Coker, is it? Do I have the name wrong?
I don't know her real name. I don't remember it, at least, because she wasn't on like Rosemary and Buddy Sorrell or what is his name? That's not his real name. His real name is something else. I forgot. Anyway,
Yeah, I haven't seen that show in a long time.
Yeah, I binge it every once in a while, so I've seen the entire series like 5 times. But not he said it worked. the gaslighting just fucked you all up. Oh, I was gonna show that tweet. I gotta go back to the share screen.
Yeah, but that thing was obviously satire, but they think that real life works like that. They try to do that in the real world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, let me
This
take
is
this off
the
the
tweet.
screen.
Oh, I did what now?
Oh no, I was taking off the screen so we can see it.
Oh, it says Rennie said these gender theorists are legit silly. They want us to believe that throughout history, white folks looked at black males and said, listen here, the black part of you is a nigger, but the part of you that is male can have any privilege it wants. And that's literally how ridiculous these people sound. That is
Did anybody respond to him? Like, the best thing is, even when you think you have an airtight tweet, they will still try to sash their way out of it. You know, they'll be like, "Look, someone didn't read bell hooks or something stupid, like
that, like
a non-answer."
No, the funniest thing was the girl talking about, all these black men are attacking me, a queer, because I read them for filth, a queer black woman, and everything she was saying was stupid because there were at least 2 men that are quote unquote queer, or at least they're not straight. I don't know if they identify as queer necessarily, but they're not straight.
One straight up said he was gay.
Right. And one of them said he was even questioning his gender. So, you know, for her to say that when the people that are checking her ass aren't even straight black men.
That was Aisha Callahan. She's the one that works for BET. And when she was editor of and let me tell you how weird these people are, right?
Are you gonna find it? She has that article she wrote. This is why I think some of them niggas don't actually have any real principles, because how do you that's not something you flip on, especially when you have a black male son.
Oh yeah. She wrote an article about her black male son, and she was worried about her black male son dying and everything. But then she was laughing at the black men don't even die right line. But I wasn't even thinking about that. I remember when she was editor of The Root, she would just do some crazy stuff. Like, she started the Root literary section, and it was called It's Lit. And I remember this. She started It's Lit, and the first story they had, it was where the Root was trying to publish fiction and cover fiction, and they did it in the Root way, very superficial and silly. But she goes, back in 2018, it goes, anyone wants to read a short story? I wrote one. This is not her, but this is one of her writers. But she's a good friend of hers. They always tweet each other and collaborate with each other. Daniel C. Belton. Anyone want to read a short story? I wrote one back in 2009, and we published it today as part of the Roots It's Lit series that Yesha Callahan edits. And that's the same woman that we're talking about. It's called Dominate, and it's a doozy. And this thing is basically an underage girl getting BDSM'd by grown white men. And then everyone's like, this is like your first uh, fiction story at the root. Like you're gonna have underage, like, and this is why all these people love slave play. Like they have this stuff ingrained in their heads, and for some reason it's hard to find the quote tweets all dissing it or whatever. But yeah, a lot of people got like really mad about that, and you can see all these negative tweets. Like this guy's like,
Yeah, that's weird.
thanks for letting us know how many of you think sexual abuse of black women makes for a great romance novel. Like it was portrayed as romantic, like this underage black girl getting like molested and BDSM'd by the people were like saying like, you know, you're the FBI, this shit sucks ass. And then they got mad, but that woman, she took over the root, and that's what she puts in the root. Like you know, love stories of white men.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't even see how you can reconcile that with what you claim you care about for black women. I just don't understand that. And then you have all the power to write this dumb shit, but somehow.
But you know, it's also like so weird. He's a white person responding. What a powerful story! Very visceral, very sad. The only person that likes it, you know, is and then she puts thanks for reading. Like these people are just so weird. But it's also like, how can you like have all this stuff about black men, you know, can't even die right and all this stuff, but white men, you have so much grace for them that even a story about a white man molesting a underage like black person, you can find the humanity and romance in that. That's just really, really weird.
That's really sick. That's really sick. And people cheer this shit on and try to say, and these people try to be the voices of black women. That's the shit that really pisses me off. You know, I had to tell, you know, I started seeing some of those little alpha niggas trying to hop in my shit, you know, and follow me and shit. I go to that, and I'm like, nah, nigga, don't follow me.
But alpha, I'm assuming you don't mean like alpha.
Them fake ass alpha niggas.
Oh yeah. Soon as someone calls up an alpha male, that's the first time you're not an alpha male.
Like, of course, save yourself, black men, niggas, and all them, you know, all them red pill niggas. All them, like I go sometimes, I see that shit, and they be like, yeah, this is what black women do, nigga. I'm a black woman speaking against it. Are you stupid? Like, and not the thing that's so funny is those assholes do exactly what those other the women do. They glean on to something the outlier said and then say this is what we're all saying. Those women were being attacked by, well, not being attacked, but those women were being checked by black women as well. A lot of black women don't think that shit cool to talk about y'all can't even die right, because some black women aren't on here fronting on the internet. Some of these women genuinely love their sons and their children and the men in their lives. You know, like a lot of this shit is not representative of either of us, black women or black men. And I think it's important that both black men and black women call out the bullshit when it's happening to the other gender. You know, like we have to be the ones to say it, because otherwise it'll be counted as something black women are saying. And that's not what I want. I don't want myself attached to that shit. You know, don't say you speaking for me. Black women are trying to tell you. I ain't telling them that shit. Go ahead.
Something that's weird about that stuff to me as well is if black men had the privilege and patriarchy like you say we had, so much of this stuff would be shut down. Like you would be afraid. Like, how can you be out there celebrating, like, you know, that video and the death of black men, but saying that, you know, black men have all the power to oppress and everything? Like, we clearly don't, because you would be so scared to write to say any of this stuff. But there's pretty much no repercussions. Like that woman works for BET. A lot of people were trying to write BET to complain that she was celebrating the death of black men, and I don't know if any good will come out of it. I'm
I
curious.
think you don't care. I don't know.
Yeah,
I should.
they
I don't
don't
know.
know.
Some people be getting fired. I don't know, but I feel like they wouldn't care.
Yeah, I feel like that too. Like, but we'll see. I mean, Torrin Walker, I guess Vanity Fair said that they're going to give him space to write a rebuttal to the Jamila Lemieux thing, so that should be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really. It's just more entertainment and clicks for them. They don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
But I'm
What's
not
even the point?
against it. I mean, do what you do. I'm guessing they paying him. So he said it was a job. So hey, it is what
I
it
am
is.
interested in seeing how like the white readers react to it. The ones who were loving that. I can see the outrage that should have been happening in the first one. Suddenly they'll be like, "This is too far. What, you saying black men don't deserve to die? They're not Nazis? What is this?" I can see the white people losing it. That'll be funny.
I'm gonna be real. I don't really like the idea of black people battling it out in white publications. It's not
I agree.
really.
Yeah.
But no knock to him. Good luck.
Yeah, but it's kind of a double bind because the harm is already there. So it's like
True.
if you don't do it, then the white publication just has to their audience a one-sided thing.
That's
But
true.
if you respond to it, then what you said happens. So it's kind of like
Yeah,
you lose
it's a
you lose
lose-lose.
either way because I think your concern is absolutely valid too. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, and again, it wasn't a knock to him at all. It's really more of a knock to the publication, because I don't really know what they get out of
But
it.
I think your point was totally valid. Like I think it totally was
Um,
valid. I think that's what sucks about it is that it's a double bind. You lose either way.
and that's kind of the issue. Really, it's like at the end of the day, the puppet strings are still in the hands of the puppet master.
Yeah.
And that's just the unfortunate part about it. I mean, hey, it is what it is. I took a lot of issues with Jamila Lemieux's article. Firstly, because it was stupid, and not even well written. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it would be at least be more interesting if they actually made sense and they actually had facts and they actually like at least then it would be interesting and there will be real conversations to be had. But right now we're not even having real conversations. We're battling fake shit. There's
That's
actual
true.
issues between black men and black women that I think we need to heal from and work on as a result of our trauma through slavery, and it has hurt our relationships, our ability to see each other in the ways that are loving and see our children in loving ways, and sometimes even. So I think there's a lot of healing and a lot of things we need to be working on. This is not helping it, and I don't think those women actually want healing. I don't think they actually want progress. I think they want attention. And I don't think that's helpful for us because these are real things. I think there is an issue between black men and black women, but I don't think it's something that we created for ourselves. I think circumstances led this. A lot of us don't know who we are as individuals or even as a people. You got people who still think these white folks are their friends, when it comes to racial shit. They don't understand that this is bigger than just you and your homie who get ice cream together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so at any rate, I just kind of feel like if you're actually for progress, then we should be talking about how do we heal these relationships. That's why I say people like Kevin Samuels are just entertainment. They're not about trying to actually help black men finding healthy, loving, secure relationships for themselves. They're not doing that. To teach them how to manipulate women and put women down and put yourselves down and call you, tell you that you have no value because you don't have a high paying job. I don't give a fuck what you do. You're valuable because you're you and you're human, and as a black person, you should feel that way. But that's not what these people are doing. Jamila Lemieux and Aisha and whoever Brittany, all these people who are on the internet saying this fuck shit and writing this fuck shit, they're not for actual progress. They're antagonizers. Because if the goal was to actually reconcile and heal and build with black men, straight or otherwise, then that's the conversation we would be having. They're not doing that. They think these call outs and reading people for filth is a replacement for actual healing and progress.
I'm not even sure they even have a plan anymore. Like the one positive thing I think about this is looking at the engagement they get now compared to what they used to get, I think this is almost like death throes. Like this is like the desperation of being close to dying. Like I think it looks like it's getting worse than ever because this is like the boldest and most mask off they've ever been. Like that Jamila Lemieux one wasn't even pretending. Like she straight up compared black people to Nazis with the big lie. That's a Nazi.
Yeah.
But I think that's a sign of like their engagement is getting like so low and their relevance is getting so low that the ones who are still in it are almost like flaming out. So that's the one type of thing that makes me have some kind of hope about seeing this as a positive thing. That
Yeah.
I mean, I've even seen like white people commenting and saying, wow, this is like a bit much. And whether they're sincere or not, I mean, those same white people might still believe horrible things about black themselves. But what I think what that really means is this is so bad we can't publicly own it, because you gotta do better if you're gonna smuggle in white supremacist talking points. At least it's like what Kenny always says. Like we didn't actually do all that. Like that's too much. You're not even good as a mouthpiece. You know what I mean? Like because something this bad, if we share it, we're gonna look like racist, even if it came from a black person. Like
Right.
one of the really really clueless white liberals, like those feminists. There's certain type of white feminists who's clueless enough to send this still, and they're the only ones I saw celebrating this thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I need to
yeah, I think
go ahead and do that Twitter Spaces thing. I keep forgetting to do that. I get into whenever I get these viral tweets, I gotta start doing that shit. Like,
yeah,
hey,
for
I'm not about to
sure.
go back and forth. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a fucking what do you call it? Clubhouse Spaces, Twitter Spaces, and y'all can argue with me all day if you want to.
But I'm telling you too, you have to get an iOS device, and I will try to hook you up with calling.
Okay, I'm working on that. Because I might have to do that anyway. So I'm definitely
Okay,
working
cool.
on that. Yeah.
All right, so
Apple.
that's it
That
for
was
me.
it for me.
Okay, great. Thanks everyone, and I want to try something. I like what you said about we did the positive episode, and I liked it, and I like talking about it. And this thing was so egregious. This wasn't the whole show. We just ended with it. We talked about other stuff and everything, but I'm gonna do my best to not give this stuff oxygen for a little while, And I feel like every time I say that, something extra egregious happens. But it's like,
but the thing that makes it tough though is people look to Champagne Sharks to do this. Like people definitely tweet us and say, "Oh, I can't wait for Champagne Sharks to talk about it."
that is true. That is true.
So I
That is
think
true.
sometimes
Yeah.
I think we're a space for people who don't have this space anywhere else. So I get what you're saying because it is exhausting, very exhausting.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It feels like exhausting sometimes
because you feel like you're saying the same things over and over because you are. However, there aren't that many outlets talking about things the way that we talk about them. So even though if you notice, there's conversations that happen sometimes on Twitter and other spaces, and they have these binary conversations, right? Like there's this, one side or the other. And I feel like Champagne Sharks always comes at it from another angle. Like we have another way of looking at it. And
that is true.
And so I think sometimes when those stories come, people are like, yo, I want to hear what Champagne Sharks got to say. Because sometimes people are still trying to form and understand this shit, for themselves. So it's not about us, T. We're purveyors of information. We're revolutionaries.
And to be fair, I guess no one's complained. I guess no one's complained yet. No, we're not. We're context providers. Other people are content providers. We are context providers.
What do they be saying about bell hooks? We're radicals. We're radicals.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think we're more radical than half them niggas. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Quick answer to this question: the movie is Trick Baby, based on the Iceberg Slim book. Very good movie, but don't expect the whole movie to be a dinner scene. It has that really cool dinner scene with the speech, and to let you know that's the only dropping knowledge part of the movie. The rest of it is a fun blaxploitation movie. I just want you to know, watch it, enjoy it, have fun, but don't expect wall to wall knowledge like that dinner scene. You know, just enjoy it for what it is. That dinner scene is pretty good. And everybody have a good night. Vita, thank you for spending your Friday night
Absolutely.
with me. You could have been having fun somewhere else, and I appreciate it.
Nah, I'm broke. These nails don't pay for themselves.
Take care, everybody, and we will talk to you guys soon.